morning. My name is Father Rayappa. I'm going to comment on IPCC fifth assessment report on South Asia. The predictions are really alarming, and also it's a kind of a warning for the people, and IPCC is preparing the people of South Asia for the worst. So IPCC is a kind of a prophet. They are the authorized, and they have the authority to predict what's going to happen in next 100 years in the field of climate and climate change in global warming. So here is a small quote from Mr. Vincent Barros. He is a co-chair of Working Group 2 in IPCC. Here is the quote. In many cases, we are not prepared for the climate-related risks that we already face. Investments in better preparation can pay dividends, both in the present and for the future. Well said. So we need to get ready, and we should be in the preparedness condition. We should be expecting the worst in the field of climate. So we better invest resources to establish maybe early warning systems. That is very important. So IPCC is warning that women, children, and the elderly can be more vulnerable to climate change impacts. IPCC is predicting that by the turn of 2100, there may be increase of temperatures, maybe from 3 degrees to all the way to 5 degrees Celsius. So the first victims may be women, children, and elderly. They are more vulnerable to climate change impacts. So what can be done anyway? Women often experience additional duties as laborers and caregivers as a result of extreme weather events and climate change, as well as from society's responses to climate change. For example, men, because the climate change will cause disasters. The farming will be destroyed and there is no work in the local level, so people have to migrate, especially the male gender. So the women, they face more psychological and emotional distress, and reduced food intake and adverse mental health outcomes due to displacement, migration, in some cases increasing incidences of domestic violence. Children and the elderly are often at higher risk due to narrow mobility, susceptibility to infectious diseases, reduced caloric intake, and social isolation. Young children are more likely to die from or be severely compromised by diarrheal diseases and floods. The elderly face disproportional physical harm and death from heat stress, droughts, and wildfires. Also, IPCC is suggesting that action on climate change and development are inextricably linked. So when we take action, when we consider climate change, we need to make adjustments in our own economic development models like high economic growth, medium economic growth, low economic growth. So in order to be compatible with climate change, in order to mitigate the effects of climate change, we need to go down, maybe not business as usual, high economic, but come to middle economic growth or low economic growth, and they are linked. Otherwise, we'll be facing catastrophes, or we are already facing catastrophe. Anyway, the IPCC concludes people who are socially, economically, culturally, politically, institutionally, or otherwise marginalized in society are often highly vulnerable to climate change. Climate change impacts are projected to slow economic growth, make poverty reduction more difficult, further erode food security, and prolong existing and create new poverty traps, particularly in urban areas and emerging hotspots of hunger. For further information, you can refer to internet the document prepared by IPCC, fifth assessment on South Asia. So it's a beautiful report. They are telling a lot of things for action. I think they are very practical, and I congratulate IPCC for doing this. Thank you.